Game of Thrones is about to return for its final season, with actress Emilia Clarke front and center. Tracy Smith explains how Clarke is a survivor in more ways than one in our Sunday profile.
Shall we begin?
Do we have a plan?
I will crucify the masters. I will set their fleets afire, kill every last one of their soldiers, and return their cities to the dirt.
Spend any time with Emilia Clarke, and it's easy to see that she's not like the character she plays on TV.
What's the big difference between you and Danny? Would you say
the big difference between me and Danny, my sense of humor, in that I have one. I mean, that lady ain't cracking jokes.
You stand in the presence of Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, rightful heir to the Iron Throne, rightful queen of the Andals and the First Men.
Dany, Daenerys Targaryen, Khaleesi, she of so very many names, commands an air force of dragons, walks through fire, and is a serious contender to win the Game of Thrones.
We obviously didn't communicate clearly. We're here to discuss your surrender, not mine.
As you may know, Game of Thrones, which begins its final season next week on HBO, is the biggest TV show on Earth. It's famous for killing off its lead characters, but so far, Clarke has survived.
Even though you are one of the obviously most powerful characters in the show, I don't think audiences would be surprised if they killed you.
Well, this is the incredible writing, the incredible storytelling on the show. And in that way that life can be shocking and frightening and confusing, the show doesn't shy away from that for the sake of storytelling. It embraces that.
So without giving anything away,
yes.
When you read that final script,
yeah.
What happens to Daenerys?
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
It's sort of almost impossible to answer that question
without giving something away.
I have so much to say about that.
I have been sold like a brood mare. I've been shamed and betrayed, raped and defiled.
In a series known for its strong female leads, the arc of Emilia Clarke's character is perhaps the most dramatic.
She's a girl who has grown into a power that no one could have ever seen coming from the timid, frightened, sold piece of property that she was in the beginning of the show.
Emilia Clarke's own beginnings were much more pleasant. She was born in London and got her first taste of acting at just 5 years old.
We did this play, and I forgot all my lines, all 4 of them. And I remember just standing there and just smiling and being like, this is kind of cool. Hey, everybody's here, what's going on? And felt so at ease and so comfortable on the stage.
She went to drama school and landed a total of just 2 TV roles, including this daytime soap opera.
You stalking me around campus with a pair of binos like some pervert.
When she was asked to audition for Game of Thrones.
So I remember I was like, I'm just gonna have to nail this. Listen to some gangster rap before I went into my audition.
Gangster rap because?
Just to try and, like, pump myself up a little bit.
And that empowers you to get through it.
Yeah, you kind of get like a swagger.
Come forward, my dear.
But the part she got required more than swagger. Her first scenes took guts.
In the beginning, when you were most vulnerable, where you're sold to your husband, he rapes you, there's nudity, that you need to see her vulnerability.
Yes.
But for you as a young actress coming into that, was it tough?
Yes. In the first season, there were a number of moments where I was like, I'm going to go cry in the loo for a second. I'll be right back.
It was after that first season that Emilia Clarke faced an even tougher challenge, off-screen.
You shot this first season of Game of Thrones, and February 2011, you suddenly got the worst headache you'd ever had.
Yeah, so basically I was in the gym. The most excruciating pain, like an elastic band just went like snap.
In your head?
In my head, like an enormous amount of pressure suddenly. And then very, very, very quickly, I realized I couldn't stand and I couldn't walk. And in that moment, I knew I was being brain damaged.
She'd suffered what's known as a hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding on the brain. But incredibly, Emilia caught it in time to not only get it fixed, but return to Game of Thrones for season 2.
It's like, hey, thanks for giving me the job. Super appreciate it. Just had a little thing. It's fine. I'm fine.
And you were pretty much
I was pretty much fine.
And you went back to work?
Yes, and then 6 weeks after that, I was back at work.
But as she was shooting these scenes, there was another swollen blood vessel lurking in Clark's head. And 2 years after the first one burst, she was back in the hospital with another brain bleed. This one almost killed her.
So with the second one, there was a bit of my brain that actually died. If a part of your brain doesn't get blood to it for a minute, it will just no longer work. It's like your short circuit. So I had that. And they didn't know what it was. So they literally were looking at the brain being like, well, we think it could be her concentration, it could be her peripheral vision. I always say it's my taste in men.
That's
no longer
the part
there.
of the brain.
That's the part of my brain. My decent taste in men. But there was all these kind of funny things. And then for a very long time, I thought it was my ability to act.
You really did?
Really, really, really did. That was a deep paranoia from the first one as well. I was like, what if something has short-circuited in my brain and I can't act anymore? I mean, literally, it's been my reason for living for a very long time.
The recovery process, this trying to get through having someone literally open up your skull,
yes.
Trying to go past that, you discovered was really
difficult.
Difficult.
Yes. I mean, the first time it was difficult, but with this second one, I found it much harder to stay optimistic.
So how did you get through?
That was very much like a day-to-day thing, and I definitely went through a period of being down, putting it mildly.
But she says playing a strong woman on TV helped her to be one.
You go on set and you play a badass and you walk through fire, and that became the thing that just saved me from considering my own mortality.
What do you do with the renown that you've gotten from Game of Thrones and from this character? What do you do now? How do you use that?
I'm really, really, really lucky because when you're typecast as a strong, empowered female, then, you get those roles.
And she's using that renown to start a charity for brain injury survivors called Same You.
I really, really, really am going to put my heart, soul, and back into transforming aftercare for brain injury recovery, and also just simply bringing awareness to the invisible disease that is brain injury.
And at this point, you're in the clear, brain-wise?
Completely in the clear.
At 32, Emilia Clarke is optimistic about the future.
There's been so much life that I've lived in the 10 years that I've been working on this show. So you're saying goodbye to so much more than just the character. I'm saying goodbye to my 20s. It feels as exciting as it does sad. Because I can't wait for the next thing, the next decade. Literally can't wait for it.